Hello, welcome to a Christmas edition of the Right Wing Populist Podcast. I am the Right Wing Populist. So today I want to first off, Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you guys had a great Christmas. I hope you got all the gifts you wanted. I hope Santa didn't leave you any clean coal, as Trump would call it. I hope you guys all had a great Christmas. I really do. But what I want to talk about today is Jake Tapper. You know, the idiot who hosts a show on CNN for like 3 hours that no one watches. He's been in the news lately, and he's concerned about Trump's health. Jake Tapper, he's like really concerned about Trump's health, yo. This is the guy that for 4 years totally ignored Biden's health. He totally lambasted Laura Trump for talking about Biden's health back in the 2020 campaign. But now Jake Tapper's really concerned about Trump's health. So let's break that all down. But before we do, I want you to subscribe, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever the hell you listen to your podcasts. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you are listening on YouTube, please also like and comment. That really helps with the algorithm. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So yes, Jake Tapper, I'm sure most of you listening know who he is. He's this dude who works for CNN. He's like the lead anchor there. He's like the worst. He wears these glasses to make himself look smart, but it doesn't work because he's not a smart guy. And, you know, the problem with Jake Tapper I've always had with him is he tries to act neutral or more like holier than thou, like he's above the political fray. But he's clearly like a left-wing partisan, like an establishment left-wing partisan. Like he's the type of person that got excited when Hillary Clinton clinched the Democrat nomination in 2016. He's the guy who got a little thrill up his leg when Hillary Clinton accepted the Democrat nomination. He's that type of liberal, really cringe, terrible. At least with the Bernie people, you can see the appeal, for Bernie. But he's the type of guy that gets excited when Pete Buttigieg is doing well in the polls. It's just gross. That's who Jake Tapper is. And famously, Jake Tapper ignored Biden's health concerns for 4 years and basically more or less accused Republicans for being conspiracy theorists and they're doing cheap fakes and Biden's fine. There's no evidence, and he did maybe one segment when he questioned why Biden wasn't doing many interviews. But for the most part, he totally ignored the Biden health crisis for 4 years. Now he's trying to basically Biden Trump, and what I mean by that is he's not the only person. There's a real effort in the media, particularly on outlets like MS Now. Used to be MSNBC, but now it's called MS Now. It's an even stupider name, but I guess that makes sense for the network. And CNN, they're trying to push this idea that Trump is suffering a massive decline and that they're trying to Biden him, like I said. And, Trump gave a bit of he gave a speech to the nation, an address to the nation, like a week or two ago. And I'll admit, Trump's delivery was strange. I didn't totally get it. I thought the delivery was a bit off. And Jake Tapper seems really concerned about Trump's health now because of that delivery. I'm going to play you 2 clips, and then we're going to discuss it.
In our politics lead, it's only Thursday, and already it's been a week full of behaviors from President Trump that are unusual, even by his particular standards, the latest example of which is President Trump's primetime address to the nation last night. Such presidential addresses usually carry some weight. One might expect to hear some big news, an announcement of some sort. Instead, the nation heard Trump just rattle on about his accomplishments like he does on any given day, although he just did so faster and louder.
Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and that's said by every single leader that I've spoken to over the last 5 months.
Conservative radio host Eric Erickson's initial response as the speech began, quote, "Why is he yelling at us?" unquote. It wasn't just the president's tone in the speech that was a bit off-putting. Much of the content was simply false misstatements that have been fact-checked so often. He must know by now that they're just lies.
Behavior. He posted on X, quote, "I'm seriously concerned about the health of the president," and adding, "No one should be happy to see the president like this. He looks unwell." And Dr. Reiner joins us now. He's a professor of medicine and surgery at George Washington University and a CNN medical analyst. Dr. Reiner, what specifically was it about President Trump that you found so concerning watching him last night, especially in the context of, he gives outrageous speeches and has been for years?
Well, it wasn't the content. I thought the content was just standard fare that we've become accustomed to. but it was the way it was delivered. It was delivered in with a manic cadence, almost a frantic cadence. It was as if you felt like you were listening to a podcast on 2X. And that kind of manic delivery was very, very disturbing. Very.
Okay. Now, again, I actually agree with the premise that Trump's delivery in his address to the nation was a bit off. Like, he did seem rushed by it. But that doesn't mean Trump's suffering from any decline. The problem with Biden wasn't the fact that he was speaking too quickly. The problem with Biden was he couldn't speak at all. Bro could not talk for like 3 of the 4 years of his presidency. He could talk a little bit during the first year. You know, he didn't have to talk much because they were still hiding him, basically. But he could still talk. That's his first year of his presidency, you know, with the face mask on. He couldn't, he could talk. But the last 3 years, bro could not talk. Look at the debate he had with Trump, the famous debate. Bro couldn't talk. He could not talk. And so I'm supposed to be really concerned about Trump because he spoke a little too quickly during his address. The fact that he addressed the nation is something Biden couldn't fucking do. Not live. Not the way Trump did it. And let's also be fair to Trump. Trump's always been bad on a teleprompter. And you could tell he was struggling a little bit. And maybe he's worse on a teleprompter because of his age. That's possible. But the idea that his address to the nation is like cause of concern about his health, and that this weirdo nobody on Twitter who wears a white lab coat posted something on X about Trump's health that Jake Tapper has to put him on to speculate about Trump's health because he spoke a little too quickly during his address to the nation. It's just so stupid. It's just dumb. The other thing that makes this really dumb is, again, when people were rightfully bringing up questions about Biden's health during the 2020 campaign, Tapper went after those people, accused them of making fun of Biden's quote-unquote stutter. He famously did that to Laura Trump. I'm going to play the clip right now. It's just disgusting. Here's the clip of Jake Tapper going viciously after Laura Trump when all Laura Trump did was point out the fact that Biden was clearly suffering from some mental decline.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You have
to
no
watch somebody on stage
that's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were
stuttering,
mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have
is
one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
By the way, in that clip, you could just hear the disdain Tapper had toward Laura Trump, toward anyone having the audacity to point out the fact that Biden, even in 2020, was clearly showing signs of mental decline. But you could just hear it in Tapper's voice. How does it make you feel when, you have other people diagnosing your father-in-law, and now you feel like you can diagnose Joe Biden when he has a stutter? It's like, fuck off, Tapper. You know exactly what was happening. The idea, but the reason Biden was struggling to talk and struggling to remember things, calling his wife his sister his wife, I don't know. Maybe he did similar things with those two. I don't know. I don't know how else you explain him confusing those two during the 2020 campaign. But the idea that was because of a stutter, it's like, no, bro. Biden was already going a little at that point. That's just the reality. But you see here, Tapper went viciously against Laura Trump, and that's not the only person. He went after many people during the 2020 campaign and through at least the first part of Biden's presidency, when people rightfully pointed out the fact that the president doesn't seem healthy. He seems like he's going cuckoo. He doesn't remember things. He doesn't know how to walk on a stage, walk off a stage. He gets lost. He can't talk. I mean, you had a prosecutor who was investigating Biden's handling of classified documents. And the prosecutor basically said that we wouldn't be able to successfully prosecute the president because he's too retarded. That's basically what he said. He said that Biden came across as a well-meaning, confused old man, so we wouldn't be able to prosecute him because we wouldn't be able to prove intent because essentially bro has lost his mind. That's basically what the special prosecutor investigating Biden said. I'm not even really exaggerating it. That's what he said. And that's who our president was for 4 years, Joe Biden. So, again, the fact that Jake Tapper had the gall to go after people over Biden's health back then in 2020 is ridiculous. And now he's trying to Biden Trump. He's trying to act as if like there's an equivalence. There's no equivalence. And he's not the only one. You have Pod Save America people doing the same thing. You have Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk doing the same thing. You say, oh, Trump's just like, if Biden was doing the things Trump was doing, everyone would be saying, oh, Biden has massive decline, but they're not saying it about Trump. It's like, yeah, we're not saying it about Trump because Trump does not have massive mental decline the way Biden did. Fundamentally, Trump is still the same person he was 8 years ago during his first term. Biden was not the same person, fundamentally, he was 8 years ago during his presidency compared to when he was the vice president. If you look at clips during Biden's tenure as the vice president, and you look at clips of him when he was the president, you see a massive decline in his ability to communicate, his awareness, just him walking around, his gait was way more stiffer these last few years than it was during his tenure as the vice president. You don't have that with Trump. He's fundamentally the same person. Whether you like him or not, he's the same person he was 10 years ago. I mean, he doesn't have the stiff like gait that Biden had. There are times Trump comes across more tired than he did during his first term. There's no question about that. I think that's fair to point out. His voice gets a little bit more raspy at times, I think, if he's been speaking for too long. Obviously, he has something going on with his hand that they have to put the makeup on. I don't know what that's about. That's totally fair to point out. And Trump is old. He's 79. He'll be turning 80 next year in the summer. It's totally valid for reporters to want to know about the president's health, but trying to create a false equivalency to Biden and trying to say that the basis of the concern is his address to the nation, it's like, I don't know, man. Yes, Trump spoke too quickly. At least he could speak. Joe Biden, he couldn't speak at all. And when he did speak, he talked like a fucking snail. I mean, he got a snail's pace. Bro just could not talk. At least Trump can talk. It's a false equivalency. There's just no question about it. So, and at the end of the day, I don't know how many people still watch CNN for what it's worth. But it's a terrible news outlet. And the other thing we should note is, again, CNN and Jake Tapper, they're not the only people trying to, as I say, Biden Trump. You've been seeing articles about this. People keep saying that he's not well, that maybe he has like some sort of heart condition, which is why he had to get an MRI the other day. And again, I think it's fair to, to ask questions about the president's health. I totally get that. But, trying to speculate about the president's health based off his address to the nation, I think is kind of dumb. Because while he did seem a little spazzy, a little manic, I don't think that was a sign of cognitive decline. Again, Trump's never been that good on a teleprompter. He just never has been. So, anyway, but, again, it's totally fair to question the president. And, maybe the White House needs to be a little bit more transparent. But at the end of the day, trying to do a false equivalency about Biden is dumb. And the fact that Jake Tapper, who ignored Biden's health for essentially his entire presidency up until the debate, would then now question Trump's cognitive health based off this address to the nation where he spoke a little bit too quickly. It's ridiculous, folks. It's ridiculous. But look, for what it's worth, if Trump ever does actually start sounding like Biden, then yeah, he should step down and we want JD Vance to replace Trump. I'm not going to defend Trump if he starts ever sounding like Joe Biden. I want to be very clear about that. If Trump stops being able to communicate properly, if he's like clearly exhausted 24/7, if he just seems confused of where the hell he even is, if he struggles to walk up steps consistently, I don't want I don't want to have a president like Joe Biden again when he broke, couldn't talk, and couldn't think properly. So yeah, if Trump actually starts acting like Joe Biden, then yeah, he should leave. 25th Amendment, or he should step down willingly and JD Vance should replace him. I'd be fine. JD Vance is awesome. I got no problems with JD Vance. Obvious, I love JD. But we're not there yet, folks. That's the bottom line. We're not there yet, folks. And it's just rich that Jake Tapper would do a segment like the ones I played, given his history, given the fact that he went after Laura Trump for calling out Biden's mental decline. So anyway, Jake Tapper sucks, folks. CNN sucks. Don't listen to me, folks. Don't listen to the lamestream media. Listen to podcasters like moi. Anyway, folks, that's it for today. A little bit shorter today, but it's Christmas. I got other stuff to do. Please, again, like and subscribe, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I greatly appreciate it. We should be back tomorrow, folks, and enjoy the rest of your Christmas. Thanks again for the support. I do really appreciate it. I'm an independent content creator, folks. Please support the pod. I don't want to have to create an OnlyFans. I think I do very well on OnlyFans for what it's worth. Got nothing to be ashamed of. But I don't want to put that link in my bio, folks. So again, please support, and I greatly appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.